focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks. Welcome to the Wealth on the Beach podcast. My name is Daniel Alonzo, and I'm your host. As always, we are talking with some of the greatest minds in the world. We're talking business, money, health, and wealth. And today we have the pleasure of talking with Jason Wright, the founder and CEO of Intentionally Inspirational.com, which is a premier digital marketing automation company. And what's going on, Jason? How you doing, man?
Not much. Doing great. Glad to be here.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad to have a little conversation today. You wrote a book. It's called The Backward Route to Forward Progress: 7 Solutions for Crushing Fear, Self-Doubt, and Limiting Beliefs. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, why you wrote the book and what is the backward route?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote this book when I was early on in this particular entrepreneurial journey. There's never just one. And what I was doing is I was realizing that a lot of times people assume success is an upward trajectory, a linear path that's just as easy as moving forward. But the reality is it's something much messier. So the book is really focused on mindset and motivation, and how I was able to use fear as fuel and really turn some things around. And I understood that it was okay and necessary many times to take a few steps backwards in order to make a small pivot so I could go forward and really get to where I want to go. In fact, going through another one of those in the business now, fully intentional, but it's sometimes you have to be willing to go back a little bit to understand where you're trying to go. So it's an interesting perspective shift for a lot of people, but yeah, that's where my mind was at for sure.
So it's almost kind of like that. Sometimes you got to take a couple steps back before you can move forward, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't want to do that. And do you think it has a little bit to do with ego sometimes? I mean,
oh yeah, ego, fear. What are people going to think of me? What if it doesn't work and I go back to square one? So you've got to be willing to take those calculated risks. But yeah, if you talk to some really successful people, you'll find a common thread in their story, that there's failures, there's things like what I'm talking about for sure. So if it were really easy, everybody would do it the first time,
And so let's kind of take a step back into your journey a little bit. And where were you born? Where'd you live growing up? What kind of kid were you?
Yeah. So born and raised west side of Indianapolis. Like yourself, I've always enjoyed being outdoors. When I was a kid, it was baseball. Then I discovered basketball and a little bit of football. But really, when I wasn't doing that, fishing and a little bit of hunting were the things that kept me outdoors. So in Indiana, you can be outside pretty much every month of the year, but it's just not quite as much to do in the dead of winter. But here we are in good times again now.
And you said you like to play golf now, right? So what
Yeah.
is it about golf that you like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 6'5", so back in high school, it was all about basketball. You feel bulletproof. Then you get older and things start to hurt a little bit. And you say, you know what, maybe jumping around's not the best idea. So one thing that appeals to me about golf is you get outside. It's you versus the course, which is strange because I was always used to team sports. But if I take care of myself, I should be able to play the rest of my life. There's some people that are up there in age that are still fantastic golfers. So that longevity piece is a big appeal as well. But it's humbling. When you're playing well, it can kind of satisfy that competitive itch, but it just, it just keeps you coming back, so.
Well, I love golf. I mean, just being out in the green and just being out in nature. Sometimes you get, a little stuck in the home and doing some different things. And it's great just to be out. Just get me out. I want to see trees. I want to smell the pines. I want to, see the ducks in the pond, And so as far as like the way you grew up, did you grow up poor? What did your parents do? What kind of upbringing did you have?
Yeah, I would say regular middle class. My mom was a court reporter. My stepdad was a lawyer. So they were always busy. I was on my own a lot. And, back in the 80s, it wasn't a big deal to play until dark. People didn't worry about everybody disappearing. So it was a different time, we just had a good time and spent as much time outside as we could. But, early on, I kind of got that hunger to do more and was actually motivated to get more fishing lures and tackle. I remember I was about 14. My mom's like, you know what? I think you have enough stuff. I was like, what does that mean? New stuff has just come out. What do you mean enough? She says, it's like, I'm not willing to buy anymore. So if you want more stuff, go earn your own money. And that's what kind of started the entrepreneurship thing for me, especially when I was successful with it. I was like, wow, earning your own money in your time is a really powerful thing. So that's kind of where all that came from as well.
So was there a moment? I mean, that was one of the moments for sure, but was there a moment where maybe you met somebody? Did you have an early mentor that kind of guided you into, being in business?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I did that a little bit, and then I got more serious about lawn care right after high school. And the reason why is because, I did what my parents told me to do. It was, hey, you go get a job, work for somebody. And I would watch, my stepdad, who didn't own his law firm, so he was an employee. And I'd watch other people I knew. And sometimes I would see their frustration when they didn't have control over their schedule or their hours or maybe even their pay. And then I saw other people in the neighborhood who were doing the landscaping thing that were, had big businesses, and I would talk to them and they would just, I would just pick up on the freedom of their time. So I was like, man, I want to do that because I feel that I'm not going to be a good fit having people tell me what to do. I just don't like it. I wouldn't do well in the military for that reason. I just don't like being told what to do. So that's kind of where it started. But as far as one particular mentor, not really, to be honest with you, not really.
And so what was your first business that you tried to get
Yep.
up and running?
Yep. So in college, I had a lawn care and landscaping business, had it for 7 years between high school and college. And it got big enough where I was like, I either need to quit school and hire another crew or shut it down and go to school. It's like I'm at a crossroads, like something's going to suffer. And I listened to everybody around me. I'll never forget this. I wrote a letter, sent it out to all my customers, and like effective immediately, we're done. And I told them why, but it was just gone overnight. So I finished school. Next 7 years, I was in corporate America, and I was like, this is just not going to work for me. Can't stand it. I
What'd you
live
do?
south
Like
of Indy.
what kind of jobs did you do? I mean, what were you doing?
Yeah, so I was doing HR, and I did some sales, and I did some safety. And the good thing about all those is they're very similar because it's people. You're dealing with people. There's a degree of selling in all of them. So I knew I liked that, but I could not stand the lack of control of my time. I don't like to get up early. This time of year I get up earlier because the sunrise pops up through the window and I'm up. But I don't like commuting for 2 hours to make an average like living. That's not my idea of a good time. So just having control over my time and being able to use my creative freedom in work, very important to me. And I could never get that working for somebody.
And so when you went into, because I know we're gonna talk about marketing and social media and trying to build some funnels and lead generation. Like when did you start with all that type of stuff?
So I started with it. So about 5.5 years ago, I started this company I have now, and I didn't know who I was talking to, what I was going to do, but I was like, I'm done with the 9 to 5, so I'm gonna start writing about it. So I started blogging about it, and I couldn't really get it in front of people, so I started learning some basic marketing just to get my message out there. And I kind of felt like an imposter because I was like, I haven't accomplished this yet myself, but I'm going to, and I know there's other people who've got to be where I'm at. So I tried to quit corporate America and start up like this magazine company where I go to these nice neighborhoods. It was all about the money. So when it got hard, I was like, I don't want to do it. So I failed. Burned up all our savings in just a couple months. My wife was like, "You told me this was the plan. Why are you abandoning the plan?" I was like, "I don't want to do it." She's like, "Now we're screwed." So enter this period of extreme struggle, and I had to go back to corporate America and ask family to pay my bills. People are laughing at me. I told you so. Very humiliating, very lonely. Started kind of writing the book in that time. And then when I went back to corporate America, I would go back in sales jobs. I would tell these people, like, hey, I'm going to work on my own business on the side when I'm not here. And they're like, as long as you're not here, we don't care. So I started making a little money writing for other companies, blogging, content. And I was like, I don't really want to do this. So then I was on Upwork one day and I started noticing people were looking for help with a few programs that I just learned how to use for myself. One was ClickFunnels, one was Active Campaign. And I was like, I'm willing to put in the work to figure out what I don't know. How hard could it be? And I was like, these people are going to pay a lot more than the copywriters that have been, hiring me for copywriting. So that's kind of how it started. But it was all by accident. It was never a plan that I sought out to do. And it's just kind of grown and niched down from there.
And so when did you know that you were going to be pretty good at it? Like was there a time where it
Yep.
just started happening? You were pulling in business, people wanted to know what you were doing. I mean, when did that happen for you? How long did it take, by the way, till that started
Yeah.
happening?
So I started with marketing architecture. So I learned how to build stuff. I didn't really understand strategy at first. So the first time I remember this specifically, I was trying to build a funnel for local businesses. I think dentist office is what I was targeting at the time. And I was using ClickFunnels, but I was like, I've heard about people using text and email in the back end, but I don't know what that means or how to do it. So a guy said, "Hey, I'll show you if you pay me $200 for an hour." And I was like, I can't afford that. He's like, "What can you afford?" And I was like, huh? It's kind of a weird exchange. So I paid this guy $100 and he shared his screen with me. And he didn't really know what he was doing because half the time he was like getting lost and stuff, but I saw enough. And he was an active campaign and he was showing me the automation builder. And as soon as I saw that visual representation of how that works, I was like, oh boy, this is really cool. So then I started
So
in
can
my
you just
mind, I
real
didn't,
quick I'm sorry to cut you off, but
you're fine.
explain what is that automation builder? Just people
Yeah.
are
So when you
wondering
think
what
of,
it is.
yeah, so when you hear of like, drip email campaigns, basically a series of emails that's triggered by some sort of event, whether people are subscribing to a list or a tag's getting added or something like that. And there's a program called Active Campaign, and it does so in such a visual way. It's almost like pictures and lines on a board. So the first time I saw it, I was able to quickly understand what was supposed to happen. And I was like, I understand that when people opt in here, they go here and these things happen. That's really neat. So before I knew it, I started just becoming obsessed with these programs to learn more for myself. And I didn't know that this wasn't normal. But when I started thinking about automations, I would start building them in my head, cross platform and everything. And then I learned fairly quickly that wasn't normal. And people are like, I can't do that. It gets too confusing. And I was like, wait, there's an opportunity here. So I figured out if people can tell me what they want or where they want to go with their business, I can probably build it for them. And that's how it kind of started. So, yep.
And so you're basically what you're saying is that when somebody has a funnel, and can you
Yeah.
explain what a click funnel is? What is a funnel?
Yeah. So a funnel, every business has one. The easiest way to describe it is somebody discovers your brand, what happens next? If it's in person, maybe they enter the store. And it's that journey, that customer journey from discovery to becoming a paid customer. And then there's, the ability to upsell and downsell, build a relationship and sell them again later. It's kind of the idea. It's the customer journey. ClickFunnels is just a brand. It's just a software that kind of popularized the word funnel, but it's just basically a process of understanding your customer journey. And the beauty of doing it online is you can automate a lot of things and make it very, very efficient and very scalable as well.
And so it's kind of like when we see those ads that say, "Hey, do you want to know more? Throw in your email, and
Yep.
then give us your email. If you want this free book, let's just say, right, a free book.
Yep.
Give us your email address, and we'll send it to you or whatever, right? That's kind of a
Yeah.
click funnel, correct?
That's an
And
example. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I want to kind of get the audience to visualize this so they kind of understand, because a lot of people, these are all small business owners that are listening to you right now. Some of these people have zero clue of what you're talking about. But one thing I
Sure.
know that every one of the people that is listening right now, what they really want to know about is they want to understand, how can they generate more leads? How can they generate more clients? How can they generate more activity in,
Yeah.
and how could they market their business more effectively? And I think that's every business, right? Everybody's
Yeah.
business wants that. So,
Yep.
how does a funnel help accomplish that?
Yep. So a funnel in that regard can help focus people's attention. Everybody thinks about, well, I need a website. And if you have content, blogs, and podcasts, maybe you do because it's a good place to house that. But when somebody goes to your website, just like mine, there's probably a lot of options, right? And the confused mind doesn't generally buy or take buying decisions. So with a funnel, You can present an offer for your business. Doesn't matter if you sell a product, service, or an info product. And you can make it very clear. Hey, do you want to move forward with this thing that I'm presenting to you or not? If you do, hit the button. If not, leave the page. So it simplifies the decision making for your potential audience there, right? Once you get people onto your email list is one of the most important digital assets you have. You have the opportunity to build that relationship, right? Increase your engagement and make more sales. So that's the high level language that I use with people, and they tend to resonate with it. And the secret to marketing, in my experience, is it's by simplifying it. How would you speak to a new next door neighbor? That's how you want to talk to your list. You want to build an actual relationship with a human and not just say, hey, remember me? We talked 6 months ago and buy my things. They're going to be like, no, who are you? Right? Just like digital door to door sales is what you're doing at that point. So if you actually put in effort, just like you would a face to face customer, and work on that relationship, and you do that by leading with value. Hey, thanks for being here. This is how I can help you, because if you weren't interested in this stuff, you wouldn't be here. So those are some of the simple things that I teach and talk about and see work in my business and businesses of others as well.
Well, you said something that I think is really important. You talked about leading with value.
Yep.
How can we do a better job? I mean, just small businesses, salespeople, right?
Yep.
That run financial businesses, or a car salesperson, or a hairstylist, or something like that. How do we lead with that? What's a good example of how we can lead more with value?
Yep. So for a generic example, then I'll give you a specific one as well, is you want to give whoever you're speaking to enough good information that even if they don't business with you, you left them better than you found them. So in my world, if I'm talking to a potential client, it's going to be service based. What I'll do is I'll make a screen share video with Loom, right? After our call, I'll say, this is some of the stuff we talked about. I want to show it to you. And even if you don't hire me, this video right here is worth real money in your pocket, and I don't want anything for it. Off you go. So that's very, very powerful, very effective. But you could do that in a face-to-face or any environment. Leave them better than you found them. Give them real information, whether they work with you or not, that's going to help them.
And I think, even just on social media,
Yep.
building your brand, I think that's an important key, that you should always be giving away free information. Just tell people what you think, give
Yep.
your opinion, keep sharing, 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 because I mean, eventually they're going to buy from someone,
Yeah.
and they generally will buy from the people that they like and they trust, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. There's a hesitation with a lot of people. They don't want to be salesmen. Oh, it feels dirty. Well, people, like you said, we buy all the time. Every day we're buying something. So why not have them buy it from you? Just be yourself. I give you permission to be your authentic self, and you'll repel people and you'll attract other people. That's true for all of us.
I think sometimes people, they want to be liked by every single person. They
It's
want
impossible.
every single, it's impossible. You
Yeah.
can't. It's not, I mean, the president of the United States is not going to only gets 49. One guy
Yeah.
gets 49, the other guy gets 51, so I mean, what do you do? I mean, and so I think that it's better just to be you and share your authentic story, and
Yep.
share what you believe, and share what you think, and give your information as freely as you can, because eventually they're going to buy from somebody.
Yep.
Because do you notice that some people don't want to share things because they feel like, well, if I share this, I'm giving away my information, and
Yeah.
what if they don't buy from me, right? Because I'm sure
Yeah.
people will tell you that. They're like, why would this guy do that? Why would he send this really valuable video that's worth money to that person, like giving away this free information? Why would he do that for free? Right?
Yep.
What would you say to somebody that asked you that?
Yeah, you'll hear that, and one reason I'll do it is because they're not me. Like, all of us are the X factor. All of us have a different perspective, a different way of doing things. So that's part of it. And I know that if I give you the a video to build a $15,000 funnel for your business, you're probably not going to act on it. That's nothing against you or anybody else, but the average person will not take consistent action, in most things. And it's not because they can't, they just choose not to. It's easy to do, it's just as easy not to do. So there's no real it's a waste of time to be scared of giving away too much, or somebody's going to get you and put you out of business. You are your only competition.
And I think that, I mean, come on, let's be honest. I mean, the law of attraction says, what you give, you get. And
Yeah.
I think that you keep, giving and giving and giving. And I don't know, my whole life I've given away information for free. I spoke
Yeah.
across the country. I mean, before Zoom, of course, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I was getting on planes and going places across the country for free. I mean, as long as they bought me a nice dinner and put me up in a hotel. I mean, I was speaking to large crowds. But what's crazy is my business every year kept getting bigger, and we
Hmm.
kept having more success, and we kept making money. And so I think people lose the, I don't know, it's almost like it's a lack of abundance mentality that, you know, that what I'm giving, I'm not going to have anything left if I keep
Yeah.
giving. And
Yep.
the truth is, it's abundance mentality, right? There's enough for all of us to be rich. There's enough for all of us to be successful. And you're totally right, man. They're not you. People come to me because they want information. They want to know more. They'll pay me for that now.
Yeah.
But my whole life, it's just been like, hey, let's give it away. So, anyways, I'm interested because you're kind of like you seem like a really intelligent guy to me. I mean, you seem like a really smart guy to me. Were you like an engineer or anything like that? Like, were you like, what kind of grades did you get in school? I'm just curious.
It's funny because once upon a time, my dream in life was to be an architect. Loved the
Okay.
idea of building stuff, and we had a career day at one of my high schools. I went to three high schools, but never moved houses, just kind of moved around and that kind of thing. But district kept growing. But anyway, this architect came in for career day, and I never forget. He came in from the right side of the room, and I watched this guy walk in. And I'm really good at reading people, something I've always had. And I was like, man, this guy's not happy to be here. And like the first thing he said was, if anybody here wants to be an architect because you want to make good money, it's the wrong field for you. And I was like, oh. And he just clearly hated his job and his life because of his job. So that one presentation just completely destroyed it for me. But in school, my grades were okay. I was always super bored. I'm positive I have ADD. Back then, nobody talked about that. So they were just like, this kid's not disciplined. So school wasn't really the greatest fit for me. Once I get into college and I started paying for some of that, my grades got a whole lot better. So it's like, hey, I'm paying how much for this? I better do well, But school was never capturing my potential. That's for sure.
I think learning, I'm pretty good at reading people too. And I
Yeah.
think learning is kind of easy for you as long as you're interested in it.
Absolutely.
And
That's
that's
scary how well you put that together. But yeah, if my son's the same way. If we're into it, we become obsessed with it and we retain it well. So,
No, no, I feel the same way. I mean, look, I don't pride myself as having a high IQ, and I'm always the last in my family to get the joke, and they laugh at me and they make fun of me. But what's interesting is the things that catch my passion,
yeah.
I'll go all in. And I know so much about those things, and I become incredibly talented in those areas because I love to do it. But if it's an area I'm not talented at, I just don't do it.
Yep.
I
I'm
just
with you.
choose to delegate that, So, but just getting back a little bit to, maybe a little bit of advice. I want to kind of clean this up in the last couple of minutes that we have,
Sure.
and just like, if there's a message that you could give that small business owner, and they're just struggling to generate leads because everybody needs leads, everybody needs more people to talk to, what's a couple of ideas that you could, like, if you were just have a conversation with them right now and tell them kind of what to do as somebody that's experienced in this area? You've generated a lot of leads, a lot of business for a lot of businesses, been hugely successful at what you do. We want to know, like, just tell us, man, what should we be doing? What are we missing?
Yep. So it's a good question. I think working on your offer is really good advice. And here's what I mean. If you're a heating, ventilation and air conditioning company, don't do the same thing as everybody else around you. Try something different. Dare to stand out a little bit. So when I say working on your offer, how can you package what you do into maybe a different way, right? Pay attention to the customers you do have. Ask them, what else should I be doing that I'm not paying attention to? Some of the very best ideas I've ever had in my business have come from clients. Or I've had people say, hey, I'm not a client yet, but if you do this, I'll pay you today. And I'm like, sold, let's do it. It makes sense. Let's go. So working on your offer, thinking about, am I presenting whatever it is that I do or sell? Am I presenting it in a memorable way? It's different. And another piece is don't try to do everything. I see so many people get overwhelmed, especially with social media. Oh my God, I've got to be in all these places. I can't keep up. Figure out what works for you. If you're strictly business to business, LinkedIn and Facebook are probably the place for you. If you're strictly business to consumer and you know that your average person that you work with is under 30, it's probably Instagram or TikTok or some other places. So just simple logical moves like that can be really effective. And I'll say one more thing, and a lot of people will argue with me on this, and that's okay. I won't lose sleep over it, but I think consistency in marketing is more important than content, just barely. Because think about working out or playing golf or anything else. If you're not consistent, you're not going to get better. Doesn't matter how good the workout is. If it's once a week, probably not going to be really impressed with the results a year later. So there you go.
And I think that's a great point because it's all about eyeballs, man. Let's be honest here. I mean, I posted a video 2 years ago that nobody remembers. Nobody, I mean, I posted content, a video, whatever I was doing 2 years ago. Nobody remembers it. Nobody cares about it anymore. Nobody, it doesn't really mean anything to any of those people. But because my audience sees me every day, every day, every day, the consistency, the eyeballs, hundreds of thousands of views on various platforms every single month, that adds to an audience that kind of can trust you a little bit. They
Oh,
go,
yeah.
this guy's been putting out a podcast for 2 years. I've done 120 interviews or something like that. People just trust and they know that Daniel Alonzo is a rock in his field, in his industry. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to those ideas. And that's why people, I think, tend to trust you. I mean, I tell my agents, I run a financial services organization. We have 1,500 agents. I tell these guys all the time, I said, you have to get more eyeballs. More people need to know your name. They need to know who you are. I tell people on Instagram, like, don't have your name as like hot tamale number one, like put it as your real name, even if
Yeah.
you have to put, Daniel Alonzo 100. I think TikTok made me do Daniel Alonzo 100 because it was already Daniel Alonzo taken. So, but it's like people got to see your face. They need to see your information and they need to know that it's consistent. Am I making any sense? Am I right about this, wrong about this?
I agree with you spot on. I think you're right on the money for sure.
Well, this has been great, man. I got a couple of, just because I want everybody to know my guests a little bit.
Sure.
And so just have some little stupid questions at the end,
Bring it
tacos or
on.
pizza. Tacos or
Ooh,
pizza, man.
God, that's tough. Oh man.
He's like, I want both of them.
Yeah. Taco flavored pizza? No.
There you
I guess
go.
tacos probably.
Hey,
Probably
I'm
tacos.
sure they make that. I'm sure they
They
make
do.
taco pizza out there. So
Yeah.
ice cream or cake.
Oh boy. Ice cream.
All right. Dogs or cats?
Dogs. Get them cats
Dogs.
away from me.
Get the
Yeah.
cats away, man. What's your favorite song or favorite band? Who is it?
Ooh boy. That is super difficult. I don't even think I can answer that question.
Do you like
I'm gonna
country
say,
music?
yeah, I'm gonna
You
say
like
Chris
country music?
Stapleton, my favorite
Okay,
guy. Yeah.
Chris
His
Stapleton. All right,
talent is absolutely insane.
good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
How about like a favorite trip, favorite like traveling destination that
It's
you've been
funny.
to?
I was never a big travel guy until we went to Orlando early this year, and I had a background kind of like what you've got there. And I told my wife, I was like, "Hey, we're not location dependent, so we need to start going to beach areas more often." So I'm going to say, beach areas. I like Florida a lot. I've been to the Caribbean, but an area like that.
Oh, I love Florida, man. One of my most favorite places. And besides your family and your kids, and what are you most proud of?
This business is a lot of fun, man. Because it's the name. I tell you what, the name when I started, I was like, this doesn't make any sense, but my instinct says to do it anyway. And I feel like when it's all said and done, the people that work for us and the people that work with us will all walk away someday and go, we're better because of it. So kind of that legacy piece of the business, it's really satisfying. It's not about me, it's about everybody else, but super proud of it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, congratulations on all of your success. There are people right now including myself, by the way, that want to contact you and say, hey, what can I do to generate more leads? What can I do to get better on social media? What can I do to increase my, eyeballs, get more eyeballs on what I'm doing and bring more people to me? How do we contact you? How do we get a hold of you?
Yep. Best place is to go to intentionallyinspirational.com, and there's some options there to jump on a call and go from there.
Fantastic, man. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, everybody, make sure that you go out there right now and you follow Jason on Instagram and wherever he's at on social media. And of course, go to his website and check him out. And, maybe, if you get a chance, if you like this podcast, if you like this YouTube video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you smash that like button and look, and make sure you share it with some people that you might know that could benefit from this conversation that we had today. But as always, make sure that you dream bigger than ever, intentionally dream bigger than ever. Get after it, really get after it this year. And but most importantly, do it now. God bless you. We will see you at the top.